It's day two and a half of the Bryce Harper versus Dave Dombrowski and now Bryce Harper versus Don Mattingly saga. And this started, you may remember, well, it started 8 months ago. But then a few days ago, Bryce says that he brought his outfield glove, on the road trip, just in case Dave Dombrowski trades for a good first baseman.
And now looking back on it, it's kind of like, just in case Dave does something.
Yeah, just in case he does something.
Is he ever going to wake up?
Right. And then 2 days ago, then yesterday or the day before, Bryce says that they need to trade for a bat and a pitcher, and then Don Mattingly says that, he's been around players that, want to spend other people's money, think they're the GM. And then there's an article today from Matt Gelb in The Athletic. Just a few little things that basically show the friction between the Phillies front office and Bryce Harper. So he does mention that what Harper said the other day annoyed team officials. That's the first thing. The next thing, Matt Gelb says, it's not hard to see through this. Dombrowski wondered aloud last October whether Harper could still be an elite player. Harper took it personally, at least the fact that Dombrowski did it in public. Harper, who carried a 908 OPS through June but has a 630 mark in July, wants to win a World Series. So now he's publicly challenged Dombrowski to improve the roster. Quote, the Cold War lurches into its 10th month. Man. Matt Gelb continues, Harper and Dombrowski have not repaired their relationship. That might not matter except for brief, uncomfortable moments like this. Harper's under contract through 2031. Dombrowski is signed through 2027, although the Phillies are expected to extend him in the near future while perhaps publicly disclosing a succession plan. Neither Harper nor Dombrowski, two powerful men with huge egos, particularly cares for the other. They should probably figure it out. And after seeing all of this and sort of sleeping on it, I just think Bryce Harper has to get over this and move on. Dave Dombrowski said something wrong publicly 8 months ago. I think what he said was true, much like what Bryce said the other day was true, but not appropriate to say publicly. But Dave Dombrowski admitted he shouldn't have said it, apologized publicly. Bryce came to spring training, talked about it, said that he wished those things were kept in-house, said that it was over. But instead, here we are several months later, and he is letting whatever friction is between he and Dave Dombrowski get in the way of what is best for the team. And I'm not saying that what he said the other day is going to specifically hurt the team, but I do think distractions like this and conflicts like this eventually eat very slowly at the fabric of the team. And when things are going well, maybe nobody cares. But when things are going poorly, it's just not good. And I don't know. This is a prideful thing for Bryce Harper. This is a public challenge between him and Dave Dombrowski. And I just don't know who it benefits other than making Bryce Harper feel better that he got a shot at Dombrowski, and Dombrowski isn't going to say anything about Bryce Harper anymore, most likely. So I just think Bryce needs to let it go because I don't know what the win is here, and I don't know how this ends, other than continuing to evolve and evolve and evolve into worse and worse and worse.
Well, somebody has to go.
Yeah, and I don't think that the Phillies should have, if they want to move on from Dave Dombrowski, fine, but I don't think they should move on from Dave Dombrowski because Bryce doesn't like him, and I don't think that you know what I mean? I just don't
help.
Yeah, it doesn't help the organization.
Right.
I just don't think that there is an end to this way. I think Dave Dombrowski should go and do the best job he can as president of baseball operations. Bryce Harper should do the best job he can as the Phillies' first baseman and team leader, and then let the chips fall where they may. Because this whole him or me, he's got to do his job if I got to do my job. It's just we're 8 months from when Dave Dombrowski said this, and I just think he needs to let it go.
Yeah, listen, I don't have much of a counter to that. I don't necessarily need Bryce to continually do this to create some sort of friction or bring the friction to light, which can be a distraction. But I'll say this. The Phillies need to be the grown-ups in the room. I don't think Don Mattingly responding the way he did helped either. If you know you have a child who's stomping because he wants attention, or he's spoiled, or what have you, you don't engage in that. Because then the child continues to behave that way. right? Especially when you know you can't really spank him. What are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do, bench him?
Yeah, you're not going to do anything. So ignoring him and going about doing your job instead of addressing that is the best way to handle this. Because all this does is gives Bryce in his mind reason to continue what he's doing. You think he enjoyed hearing Don Mattingly say what he said yesterday? No, you know he didn't. So who knows what that's going to bring about from Bryce. Eventually, if you're the adults in the room and you're handling it that way, then Bryce is going to be forced to look in the mirror and say, I'm the only one that's creating friction. I'm the only one that's speaking publicly about this and making it a big ordeal. It's really all the things point back at me. But when the Phillies jump into it to defend themselves, like being offended by what Bryce Harper said, why? Because he said we need help? Why do the Phillies need to get offended by that? And need to address it and scold him publicly by saying players want to be a GM and want to spend other people's money. And Don Mattingly, God bless you. You got to speak up for the organization. But you may be on borrowed time too. But they sent him out there to defend the organization and scold Bryce Harper with those words. I understand his son is the GM and all of that, and he's speaking up for the front office.
Well, he's also speaking up for the other players, I think.
I don't believe that. I believe that's speaking up for the organization. That's what I believe it was. It can be covered in the whole, I'm speaking up for the other players in the clubhouse. But Don Mattingly is a former player. He knows players get traded. He's a potential Hall of Fame player. He's been in clubhouses where they wanted to get better and add players to the roster without it being about you don't like the guys on the team and making it publicly. This is where he forgot that he was a player and he went into front office mode. He went into team mode.
So if you're the Phillies,
yeah,
I understand what you're saying about Mattingly throwing gas on it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're the Phillies, what do you do? When Bryce Harper continues to do this, and I think them firing back publicly is just as bad as him firing at them.
I agree.
For sure.
Yes.
So what do you do? Because what I thought was, now maybe this never happened. What I thought was, because I thought Bryce said this. Bryce and Dombrowski spoke. They squashed it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they walk away not really liking each other anymore, but this is done.
Yeah.
So if you think it's done, what do? Do you bring Bryce Harper into an office and say, well, what are we doing here? Or do you ignore him? Or what's the tact?
I think you do. I think if you're John Middleton, you step in. You're the only one that could step in. He obviously doesn't, I'm not going to say he doesn't respect Dave Dombrowski, because I don't want to put that out there, but he certainly isn't afraid to challenge him or give his opinion about what should be done from Dave Dombrowski's job description.
You're talking about Harper?
Yes, I'm talking about Harper.
Okay.
So if you're John Middleton, you got to be the one that brings him in, because he's going to respect you and what you say. And so you got to tell him, you got to knock this off, right? But from the organization standpoint, man, you let Bryce do what he does. And so then it becomes, because you know what's going to happen, Spike? Then the fans are going to be on Bryce. And that's not what Bryce wants. Like him saying they need help, I don't know. It didn't put undue pressure on the organization. Either they're going to do something or they're not, right? Come Monday. So to act as if somehow he called someone out personally and it needed to be addressed, I just don't think that needed to be done. But I'm with you on he needs to knock it off.
Yeah.
I'm just saying don't engage in it so that it doesn't go back and forth.
215-592-9494. The Bryce Harper versus Dombrowski sort of versus Mattingly thing continues. What do you want to happen here? I think at the end of the day, I'm just a little disappointed in Harper.
Mm-hmm.
I know who he is. He is a great player who has been really good for the organization since they signed him. He is not a leader. And I think when I see things like this, I just wish he would put on that cape every once in a while. These are my guys. We're going to go to war, and if and put that in front of everything else.
Right.
And it doesn't seem like he does that. And he still produces. He's still a good player. I'm glad he's on the Phillies, but I really wish it's not part of his persona, his character, or whatever. But I wish in a situation like this, that's what he would do.
Yeah.
I wish he would sit down with Dave Dombrowski in an office and say, here's what we need, and then publicly go lie to everybody about how he loves everybody in that clubhouse.
Right.
And you know what I mean? I just wish we got a little more out of that out of Bryce Harper.
I will say this about him. This is what he's done in the past. When the sign JT thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Blake Snell.
Yeah, the Blake Snell thing. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know if he's doing it with some sort of malice intent or trying to undermine the organizations as much as he's saying, I want to put pressure on the organization because I want to win.
Yeah,
like he's done this in the past.
Yes, I think my counter to that is they've done a lot to help you win,
Sure.
and it hasn't all worked. I'm not defending every move, of course, but
you would agree they need help right now.
Yes, I would agree they need help, but I'd also agree that I don't think that the organization needs pressure put on them to make help. That's why I think it's more of a personal thing. In that they go for it, they spend money, they trade prospects, all that kind of stuff. Again, the errors on contracts, errors in trades, not discounting any of that, but the effort has always been there.
Yeah.